So let's jump into the supply chain issues, because that has probably affected your company a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
y'all aren't the manufacturer, you're the middleman between the manufacturers and the customers. So
Sure.
you're on the, how to say, the end of this whole supply chain mess. You're dealing with this every
Yeah.
single day. So did you see signs of this in 2019?
Pre-pandemic, there weren't really too many signs with regards to issues around supply. There were some where you'd have some manufacturers would kind of deliberately slow down manufacturing so that they could, prior to a price increase, you'd always find that all of a sudden within, the quarter running up to a price increase, all of a sudden you just couldn't get material. And a lot of that was kind of driven by, right, the price increase coming. We're going to reduce supply into the market so that when the price increase hits, it'll stick, because everybody's just going to need material and they'll pay anything for it. With regards to logistics, I think logistics is logistics really, and there weren't really too many issues pre-pandemic, but we've seen a complete change now post-pandemic with regards to logistics, because what's happened is you've so many drivers who have retired in the time that has been during the past 2 years, and those people new people haven't been brought in to replace them because nobody was working. Right, so you've a whole 2 years of people retiring. You also then have the likes of government payments to kind of where people weren't able to work, and you're getting government payments to stay at home. A lot of people have been asked to come back to work, but then chose not to come back to work because in a lot of cases they were earning as much money staying at home doing nothing, or maybe just a little bit less. Maybe they're earning $50 a week less or $100 a week less. But why go to work for $50 or $100? You
and this is something you've seen in Europe and in the US. This is not exclusive to.
Yeah, it's Europe and the US. It's a big problem in the likes of Ireland and the UK, where people just not going back to work because of the payments. Now, a lot of these payments have stopped, and it's forcing people now that they have to go back to work. And you're starting to see that now with supply chain starting to ease, because with people not going back to work, that affects manufacturing, that affects the extraction of all the raw materials, that makes everything that keeps the world turning as such. So with all these people not going back to work, it then has a knock-on effect all down the line then with regards to not being able to get the material you need. Supply then demand starts to outstrip supply. That then pushes prices up. And then what you have is what I call where you have pandemic market gouging. So it's actually where manufacturers putting the price up when you don't really need to. Like, we can all accept a certain number of price increases in the market, and that's fine. And I think pre-pandemic prices were quite low anyway. And I think there was a market correction that needed to happen at some point, because prices needed to come up a little bit. So a certain element of market correction is fine. You don't mind that. But what we have seen with some manufacturers, where they were just a price increase on top of a price increase on top of a price increase, and eventually then it hits a ceiling. And we've seen in the UK where manufacturers have done this over and over again, and they hit a ceiling, and then all of a sudden the price just drops. And
is that because customers finally said no, they were not going to accept this price, or did the other manufacturers in that area purposely lower their prices to be a more viable alternative?
Yeah, so you'd have a group of manufacturers that they all making around the same type of products. One goes up, another one goes up, and so forth. And then one goes up and no one else moves. And then they go, I shouldn't have done this. And then they drop their price. And then everyone just starts dropping. And like we seen over the course of a year last year on specific ranges of insulation products, where they go up about 40% over the course of the year. And in the space of 30 days, it dropped 20%.
Wow.